Hi guys, Dr. Megan Connell, and this is Psychology at the Table. In this episode, we're going to be doing something a little different. I recently asked Twitter for some questions that they might like to see me answer here on the stream, and so I'm going to be answering a few of those here today. So the first question we have is from the IDDM or the IDDM. He asks a question about maintaining your motivation when you don't get a lot of feedback from your players or if you're streaming from your online audience. We try to focus on what makes us happy, but we kind of want that sense that we're doing something well. We want to hear good feedback from us. So how do we manage when we don't get that? A few things here. Look for the nonverbal cues from your players. If they're getting excited, if they're writing things down, those are all really positive signs. When you stream, you gotta stream like no one's watching. I have actually the Penny Arcade shirt that says stream like no one's watching. And it's really freeing because then you're just streaming for yourself rather than trying to change how you GM for the audience. You do it more naturally, I think. And so while it's nice to have an active chat, and it's a lot of fun to have an active chat, I've done streams where I've had a really active chat and ones where they say one or two things the entire time, and it's totally fine to have either. It's just can be a little bit more fun, but also when you don't have an active chat, that's not a disruption to your game, and so you can have that straight feedback. Also, I would say review your material and make sure it's entertaining to you. If you think what you're doing is boring or not good, it's not going to excite you as a GM, and so your playstyle isn't going to be as good. It's going to suffer as a result. So really, I think if you're looking at your stuff and going, this is a game I would love to be a player in, and I feel passionate and excited about it, I think that's a really good litmus test. And also looking at those nonverbals from your players. Are they engaged? Are they sitting up when you're hearing things? Are they getting mad at you when you leave cliffhangers? Those are all really good signs that your players are enjoying the game and you're doing a really good job. On the D&D Dad asks, when unusual content has an effect on a player, what are some signs to look for? So this is outside of the things that you might cover more in a session 0 about like gore, rape, assault, hurting kids, things like that. Because people might not bring up stuff in session 0 because they don't realize it's going to come up in game or realize it's an issue. So some nonverbals to look for is when someone's starting to feel uncomfortable, they're going to pull into themselves, make themselves smaller. They're going to start not making eye contact. They're going to really become quiet and shut down. That's a great time to ask for a bathroom break and sit down and talk to that player discreetly. Again, not in front of everybody going, Bill, you seem to be upset. What's going on? No. Ask for a bathroom break. They kind of pull Bill aside and be like, are you okay? It looks like you're kind of shutting into yourself. Is there something going on in the game that's happening? Check in with them and see what their feedback is. It might be a thing that they didn't even think would be a thing, and it became one. And so you can talk to them and then figure out how to move through that and move beyond it. There's several different methods that people use for going through this. There's veils and lines where you could just say we fade to black and the thing happens, but it happens basically off screen. There's the X card method where we hit the X and essentially that thing never happened. It doesn't exist. We don't talk about it. It's gone. And then there's another method, which I'm going to forget the name of. I will put a link to it in the doobly-doo, where you actually openly talk about the problems and talk about what's going on. That's the one I prefer, which is ironic because I can't remember what it's called. Though I do use the veils and lines a lot more in gameplay, just because the stuff that you might use veils and lines for comes up a little bit more frequently. And so you just got to kind of figure out what's going to work best at your gaming table. Miss Chance asks, for a change of pace, she would enjoy hearing my thoughts on how players can best support their DMs. Well, I'll just say this. If you're playing a live game around the table, bring snacks or food for your DM. Feeding your DM is always nice. But no, seriously, for me as a DM, so I can answer this as myself as a game master, dungeon master, I like to create delight in my players. I like to have them find things that are unexpected, experiences that they didn't expect to have at the table, and just see how they react to that. Rather than the same old story, I like to try to change things up and just pull them into that story and make them feel as though they're really like a main character in a fantasy novel. Simply saying that was fun means a lot to the DM. I'll say for me, hearing it was fun several days after the game is such a high for me. Knowing that my player is still thinking about the game several days later and is still going, God, that was so much fun. I can't wait to play again. That's a really big boost of an energy for me as a DM. It's something I try to be aware of and do for my DM. So if we have a good game, and I really enjoy it. If I'm still thinking about it a day or two later, I make sure to send him a message and just say, hey, dude, that was an awesome game. I can't stop thinking about it. You're doing a really good job. Don't expect anything back from that. I don't expect kudos or anything. It's just, I know how much work it is to Dungeon Master and to Game Master and create a story because we play a homebrew. And I think it really means a lot to know that your players notice it, notice the work, and are liking it. So just let them know you enjoy it and bring food. Food's always good. D&D Dad asked another good question of how do you request feedback from your players without seeming like you're looking for praise? I think one of the big things in this is that you need to be open to constructive feedback. So like if somebody's saying, I don't think this is working a lot, to not get defensive and not get upset about it, be more open and curious. So like, okay, why do you think that's not working? Or it might be a thing of like, no, I get it. I saw that last time. I agree that wasn't working. I'm going to try to change things. If your players know that you're receptive to feedback in that way, they're more likely to give it to you. And I think another part of it too is you are the Dungeon Master, you're the Game Master, you're the one running the table. Everything starts and stops with you. And so I did a video a while ago about leadership. And one of the things in leadership is that you are the end-all be-all of what's going on. And so all the stuff that's good, you get the praise for. All the stuff that's bad, you get the blame for. And so if you have that attitude of like, this is my table, all of this stuff is mine, it actually can help your players, I think, feel more able to approach you with problems. So for example, in a game that I was playing, we were playing and the players were enjoying it, but there really wasn't any character development going on, which was interesting because the players had all said they wanted character development. And one of the players said, can we talk to you about DMing style? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's talk about this. And we brought it up and I was going, yeah, I'm trying to figure out the things that I can give you guys to help your characters develop, because obviously I'm not doing a very good job of that. And immediately after I said that, my player responded with like, well, we're not doing a very good job of it either. And I want to think that part of the reason they felt comfortable enough to say that was because I was taking the ownership for it. I was running my table. I was knowing that it's my table, it's my responsibility to ensure the story is going the way we want it to go, or things are happening the way we want them to happen. I think when you can do that, when you ask for feedback, it helps people know that they can actually be honest with you. I also take a very military approach to this. For those of you who don't know, I was in the Army for 7 years, and in the military, after you do something called your after action review, or AAR. You talk about what went well, what didn't go so well, and what we learned about it. And those are really great points to make, asking your players just kind of generally, what am I doing well? What's not going so well? What do you want to see changed? What do you want to see more of, less of, that we don't have, that you want to see integrated into the game? When you're getting feedback like that, it can be really helpful. Sometimes, too, you might feel like your players would be more honest with you if they can be anonymous. So you can use something like SurveyMonkey to create surveys where they can type in their responses without their names being attached to it. And so that can help as well. But also, don't be surprised if your players just say, no, man, it's good, and they don't want to give you too much feedback. The DM asked another question more about self-care as a Dungeon Master, Game Master, or just a content producer. How do you manage that? You need to know when you're burning out. I do play a lot of D&D. I run a lot of games. For me, it gives me energy. It does also take a lot of energy, and so learning how to do that better has been a really important part for me. I'll be the first to admit, maybe, that I'm really bad with self-care. It's something I'm always working on and trying to improve. Having people around you to make sure that you're engaging in self-care is really important. You need to know your limits and know when your batteries need to be recharged. But again, it's great to have amazing people around you who can help support you and look at you and go, you need a rest, stop doing anything. And also to make sure you're filling up your creative buckets. When you're feeling like I have nothing else to give to this story, that's the time to read a book, watch a movie, dive into a TV show. There's lots of great stories out there that you can draw inspiration from. Also for the players, though, notice when your Dungeon Master is getting tired. Notice when they're starting to burn out, and offer to run a game or two. You don't have to run D&D if you don't want to. I ran a honey heist for my DM one day just to give him a week off. Planning on running Crash Pandas someday because that looks hilarious and also really quick to prep. Not a lot of prep time. It's a one-page RPG. It's a lot of fun. So, as a player, being willing to step in and just take care of your dungeon master in that way to say, you've done a lot of work, you're doing all this stuff, we're going to step in and run a game for you for a week or two. That can really help. And if we go back to that question of how do you know you're doing a good job, if your players want to care for you, I think that's also a very good indicator that you're doing a good job. So that's all the questions I had for this video. I'm going to do these Q&A videos periodically, so follow me on Twitter at MeganSciD, and you'll just see when I pop them up of what questions do you have for Psych at the Table, and I'll try to record these periodically. Hope this was helpful, and as always, let's make space at the table for everyone.